Alright, brother, hold up. It's the man of knowledge coming at your way. Check it in. Check it out. Peace. You know, as much as I love James Harden and the Houston Rockets, I gotta admit, man, I really don't understand. I really don't know what's next, what's in store. Are we gonna just keep doing the same shit year in and year out? Harden putting up 30, 40%, percentage of averaging 30, 40 points per game or so, or getting 30, 40, 50, getting 30 points plus per points per game. I mean, come on, man. Are we going to keep doing the same shit? ISO, Westbrook, ISO, Harden, Westbrook, free throws, threes. I mean, the thing is, man, the Houston Rockets, like I said, I love James Harden. I love Russell Westbrook. Both Hall of Famer players in the future. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. But I gotta ask, are we gonna keep doing the same shit? Are we gonna keep seeing the Houston Rockets do the same things? I'm gonna be honest with you. The Rockets are just too predictable. They're too fucking predictable. All they do is ISO, Harden, free throws, in the paint, Harden, ISO, Harden, free throws, threes. James Harden, 30 points per game. And you know, but that's also, but I understand why it may be laughable at times, because yes, it's so predictable, but at the same time, nobody can still stop him. Like, you know what you're gonna do, but you can't stop James Harden. That's facts. Anybody would be averaging many points as James Harden, just as much as he shoots. Because the nigga takes a lot of damn shots. He takes a lot of damn shots. Hell, I will be averaging points out of my damn yard shooting just as many shots as James Harden would be shooting. That's facts. This is why the Rockets will not succeed. Once again, like I've already stated, they're too damn predictable. But we're going to get into this topic. And because the Rockets GM, manager, general manager, reportedly or allegedly stated that he will not trade James Harden. And I can honestly see why, because if there was no James Harden, there would be no Houston Rockets. He is their identity. But we're going to chime in, and I'm going to break down my perspective and my thoughts on these aspects, and I'm going to break it down and analyze and speak from my perspective. Let's get into it.
Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta, friend of the show, says Houston will not trade James Harden or Russell Westbrook. General manager Daryl Morey, he's out, as is coach Mike D'Antoni. But during his weekly appearance on CNBC's Power Lunch, Fertitta said that Houston's outlook hasn't changed. They are still contending. Steven?
Damn.
Do you agree with Fertitta's plan to keep his superstars intact?
No, I do
Once again, I've always been saying James Harden like a damn teddy bear. Like a damn polar bear, for real.
And I'm not saying that definitively, like meaning you have to trade him.
Yeah.
I agree.
You can't close the door on that possibility. You know, when you look at a guy like Russell Westbrook, he's been around for a long time. You look at James Harden, they've been around a while. Of course, you keep one of them. But the other may bring you incredible assets in return for their services. And of course, I'm going to be a supporter of keeping James Harden at all costs. The brother just finished averaging 34. He averaged 36 the year before. He's a league MVP. He's been a top 2 candidate for MVP honors at least 3 separate occasions. This brother is something special offensively. He is a magician.
Yes. That is all James Harden is. He's an offensive juggernaut. That's simply it. I have much love and respect for this brother, but I do not have respect for the game that he plays. I mean, the shit is honestly annoying. It's too predictable. Flop, ISO, Harden. It's just the same shit.
With that basketball. Now, the flip side to it is that you got to get the right coach up in there. You got to get a coach up in there that's going to preach movement. Is going to make sure
that you have to get a coach in there that's not afraid of James Harden. That's what you have to do. Or else you need to get a real GM in there and send James Harden out on his fucking way. And Russell Westbrook too. Like, yo, they're looking like a goddamn Ninja Turtle. Send his ass out too.
make sure they make adjustments at halftime. Is going to prioritize defense a little bit more than Mike D'Antoni did, even though Elston Turner, I thought...
This is the thing with Rockets. Rockets are lazy. James Harden is lazy. Now, Russell Westbrook, of course, is not. He was the energetic piece that Rockets may have needed offensively and both defensively, for the most part. But for the life of me, I cannot see why these brothers are not where they're supposed to be at in terms of basketball in the NBA. Both multi-talented, but like I said, both Hall of Famers, but they just have no rings, and they have the stats to show for it, but championships they have nothing to show for. And it's a crying shame. It ain't like they're playing in the Michael Jordan area. They're playing in LeBron, buddy to buddy, switch team era.
Thought did a really good job, and in the postseason, Houston had the top the top defense in the bubble at one point before they went up against the Lakers. I mean, considering those 8 regular seasons.
Why? Because they played big man basketball
In the first round
against the Lakers.
The players, they had the best defense in the bubble, so we can't ignore that. But in the end, when you consider the fact that...
Look, let me say this, man. All that small ball shit ain't gonna work in the playoffs. I told all my homies this I know in real life. I said this to a couple homies over the internet. And look, the proof is right in the pudding. We saw it. They got wore out against LeBron, Anthony Davis. They didn't even try. People talking about, oh, they didn't try. Yeah. Nah, fuck that. Yeah, they tried. They didn't have anything left in the tank. Why? Because that small ball shit doesn't work in the playoffs. You have to adjust. You can't come into the playoffs doing what you did in the preseason. You can't come in the in the playoffs doing what you did during the whole entire regular season. If you don't believe me, ask Giannis that. And the rest of the Milwaukee Bucks. You have to have an actual scheme. Like I said, Rockets are too damn predictable, man. All that shit that you're doing that's predictable, eventually it'll catch up to you.
What you have tried isn't working. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's coming back and Golden State. Lakers ain't going anywhere. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George now.
Kawhi and Paul George. Man,
Lou as their coach, so there's a new voice in Clipperland. Okay.
A lesser voice.
We saw what Utah and Denver could do, etc., etc. The West is going to be loaded. What Houston has...
Utah and Denver has still not found... Well, particularly Utah. Now, the Utah Azz, they have not reached their full potential. They're still trying to find themselves. Now, I don't know what in regard may need to happen over there, but, they need to tighten up, man. They need to tighten up. First, they're always out of the first round or second round.
It's not enough. It's not enough to win a championship.
This year, how about next year?
It's not going to be enough. That's what I'm saying.
Hell no, never. What part of that don't you understand? Never.
It wasn't enough this year. It's not going to be enough next year. And Tillman Fertitta does not need to be saying, we ain't changing. Yes, you are. Because the man wants to win. You would need to change.
There are 2 levels to this. Number 1.
Hey, like Michael Jackson say, if you want to make a fight, take a look at yourself and make that change. Hey, you gotta change your stuff, man.
We agree about that part. I don't have to rehash it. Hire a GM first.
You can't do the same thing expecting different results.
Figure it out, right? Now, here are the 2 levels. If you are Kobe Bryant, or you are Derek Jeter, forget football, it's a different sport. Joe Montana, Tom Brady at the end, they were on new teams.
Exactly, but carry on.
Let's take if you're Kobe Bryant or Derek Jeter, and you have 5 chips with that organization, guess what? Derek Jeter in his last season plays shortstop, and it cost the Yankees a trip to the postseason because his defense wasn't good enough anymore, and he didn't hit much. Kobe Bryant got that last contract, $25 million a year, and he wasn't good enough anymore, and the Lakers were terrible. But fans of that team could say, Derek Jeter, that dude's never putting on another uniform. Kobe Bryant, there'd be like a riot. There'd be a mutiny. You cannot let Kobe Bryant or Derek Jeter put on a 5-time champions for those towns and those franchises. They can't leave. That's not.
Yeah, I see what he's saying. You have to be valuable towards the city. Houston Rockets, James Harden. Yeah, he's putting on for the city, but he's not valuable. He's not bringing any value. What am I saying? He's not bringing any type of championships. That's what Mr. Max Kellerman is talking about. That's what I was saying earlier. There is no championships coming out of what they're doing. And if you're gonna trade, you need to trade James Harden while he's still in his prime. Trade Westbrook while he's still in his prime, for the most part.
Not James Harden or Russell Westbrook in Houston. I'm sorry, they didn't come up with those teams. They haven't won any championships with
Boom.
that team. Now here's where it gets tricky. Here's the second level. If you wait until the guy isn't that valuable anymore, the Knicks did this with Patrick Ewing, and then you trade him, you know what you wind up with? Cap problems. You trade him for guys who aren't that good, and the Knicks were buried with cap problems trading Patrick Ewing because they waited till he didn't have value. And if you planned on moving on, you should have traded him when he still had some value. Shaquille O'Neal, here's the other part. Shaquille O'Neal still had value when the Lakers traded him.
Absolutely.
They didn't get back equal value, and the Lakers weren't good enough anymore until they made, several years later, a trade for Pau Gasol. So the issue is, it's hard
in 2009 or 8, I believe. 2008 or 9, I believe.
Replace a guy like James Harden. Usually in the NBA, the history of the league is whoever gets the best player in the deal wins the deal. Go find a better player than James Harden if you want to trade him. You can't just trade him for parts.
Though? Who are they going to get?
That's the question you have to ask, Mr. Max Kellerman. That's what you have to ask.
What do? I understand that they can't win with this nucleus, but it's not like superstars of their level are just growing on trees.
That's why if they wind up keeping Harden and trading Westbrook, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, first of all, that's the only thing. You don't trade James Harden.
Well, unless...
Nah, and that's like I said, Houston Rockets is James Harden is the Houston Rockets identity. That's his franchise. Now, I don't give a damn what you say about that. I can see James Harden getting traded for never staying on the Houston Rockets for the rest of his career. Dead ass. I can see that. Now, I'm not saying that it will happen, but I can see that.
You don't trade James Harden.
Unless...
There is no unless.
Well, here's the unless.
You don't move James Harden.
Well, let's say Giannis is available.
Okay.
You trading James Harden?
Hell no. For Giannis? Fuck out of here, man.
Really?
No.
Because I am.
No, let me tell you something right now.
Good.
Why? So Milwaukee can come to Houston?
We talking about Giannis. Look, obviously Harden is a better scorer than Giannis. My nigga. Also, let me touch on this. We talking about Giannis shooting percentage. We talking about his shooting form, like whatever. We talking about a nigga that can't even shoot a fucking gun. Yo, like oh, it's crazy. Talking about trading, man. Hell no.
I mean, the bottom line is, if you're talking about finding a way to pair Giannis with James Harden, you don't let go. In today's NBA, back in the day, that would be different. In today's NBA, when you have a magician on the offensive end like James Harden has one problem offensively and one problem only. He needs too many he seems to need too many damn dribbles to do what he does.
Thank you. This nigga literally sits there with 20 seconds on the shot clock and let that motherfucker go all the way down to 0, literally to shoot. with that step travel to China step back he got.
Outside of that, there is nothing. I understand that, but how many trips does a lot of guys want, Max?
How many
you can't go by that.
Teammates has Giannis ever had like Harden's had teammates?
Excuse me. Well, think about this first. When you talk about Harden, when he was in Oklahoma City, he was very young. He was a baby.
Sure.
Then he goes to Houston. What are you talking about? Dwight Howard?
He was a baby with a beard? Okay.
Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook.
Well, you the one that said if Chris Paul didn't get injured, they would have won the chip. That was you. You said that.
Happened to be me. Why you bringing up
what you said. Okay? So you said that. Yep. So the point is that, again...
Well, no, he ain't bringing up old stuff. He bringing up facts. People tend to ignore facts, Mr. Max Kellerman. Don't try to contradict the facts. because it is what it is. I personally do believe Chris Paul and the Houston Rockets would have whooped the Golden State Warriors in 2018 NBA Western Conference Finals. There was no excuse, but like I said, the problem was James Harden. Because of that damn hamstring, Chris Paul was out, and then you had James Harden, or should I say James Hardhead, or James Harden without the D. This nigga sits up here, yo, give him his credit now. He did his thing. But like I said, in that series, I started to notice that Houston Rockets, and I tell brothers this all the time, they missed 27 threes in a row, Game 7. I'm talking about constantly trying threes. And the shit ain't working. That's like me trying to push a wall. Like, yo, it ain't gonna happen. Some things, man, just ain't meant to be. But I started to notice that James Harden in the Houston Rockets were trying to play Warriors basketball, playing the Warriors. That's like me copying Muhammad Ali while facing Muhammad Ali. He gonna knock your ass out. If that makes sense to y'all. He gonna knock your ass out, bro. And that's what the Warriors did to the Houston Rockets. They switched up and said, you know what? They trying to play ball just like us while playing us. We're more experienced. We're gonna run them out. We're gonna wear them tired because you know James Harden doesn't have the best health. Well, no homo with like the best body. I read up on an article James Harden had asthma, and let me tell you, a person with asthma is myself. That ain't no joke. But anyway.
Again, there's a lot of questions.
They might win the chip in Milwaukee.
Listen, all I'm telling you is this.
Now that's bullshit. Look, me personally, I don't know. I would not get CP3 on the Milwaukee Bucks because now he's just gonna be there eating up the cap space. Now he's gonna cause future cap problems for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I got a video about Milwaukee and Giannis' situation coming up next.
I'm not trading James Harden. I'm holding on to him for dear life because the brother is too special.
Let me say this.
He's too special.
Let me say this. We agree about this. It would be very...
That's just like a woman saying, I'm not getting rid of this man. She's starting to sense that he's doing the same things. He's a problem. And he's beating her ass. But instead of getting rid of him, she says, you know what? I'm going to keep this man because this man is valuable. Or he give me good D. And I love him so much. So no. Even though the relationship won't work, she will still hold on to the man. That's what that sounds. That's what that just reminds me of.
When the best player in the deal, that's the team that wins the deal. Whoever gets the best player in NBA history, right? That's usually what happens. Very hard to find equal value for James Harden in a deal. I would never say never, period.
I would sit there and say you got to get the right coach. And it has to be a coach.
I agree.
That could get Russell Westbrook's personality to modify just a touch. Or you got to be willing to move him to get some other parts to pair with James Harden.
But you are not moving.
That's just what I said earlier in the video. You have to get some coaches in there who are not afraid of James Harden and who are not afraid of Russell Westbrook. If they don't comply, you send them out on their fucking way. Get some trades. Trade for a couple of draft picks or whatever. So make some call-ins. Do what you got to do. Trade for some more valuable pieces or some guys who are willing to comply to the schemes and to the plays and are willing to sacrifice in order for their team to get to where they got to go. Simply that. Nothing more. That shouldn't even be up for discussion. It's been a man of knowledge. Checking out.